We're live. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 2nd. Because we had the day off. So it's a brand new beginning, brand new week. So we got to move forward and keep going positive. So thank you for joining me today, my morning walk. Really appreciate the following. I'm super happy, guys. The support that I'm getting. The YouTube channel is growing. Um, That's great. My book is getting a really good reaction. But today I was going to answer a question. I've been getting questions about if I buy pre-construction, could I use it as an Airbnb? So, guys, the question then becomes: is what type of building are you getting yourself in? So, so there's different rental policies. If you look into I did a whole video about the rental policies. There's different types of rental policies that exist out there for each building. I remember that there are three types of buildings. There's buildings that are just residential. We're going to have different rental policies, and now they're going to have there's buildings that do Airbnb, and there's condo hotels. Now the all Airbnb, it's kind of tedious in a couple things because each city, like the city of Miami Beach, Port Gables, like South Miami, city of Miami, they all are going to have different policies of the city itself is going to have policies of when you do an Airbnb. Remember, you just can't put your apartment on Airbnb. There your association has to your condo association has to allow it, and you also have to comply with the city rules, and you also have to register this for the city. So it becomes a little bit complex. But having said that, all right, so now we're seeing a lot of this pre-construction that it's Airbnb city approved or Airbnb with the concept of Airbnb. So let's be realistic. Airbnb has come a long way. I would want to say, remember Uber when Uber first came out into the market? We were all, trying it out. You couldn't get to the airport. We had a lot of things that were kind of complicated and made it not so safe. And Uber went along and made things better. Airbnb and well, Uber is now here to stay. Share riding, we have many things, and Airbnb, which is pretty much daily rentals, it's here to stay too, right? I'd say out of every four people, people are now like 1.9 are staying in Airbnbs, especially in Miami. Like for example, right now we're at 95%, excuse me, 82% occupancy, and this is low season. And we have all this events. So the city needs help accommodating people that want to come to the city. So the Airbnb product does become very interesting. So now what we're seeing is what were the major problems of the Airbnb in the past or some of the buildings that were? First of all, you had other condo associations. People started doing it kind of like they didn't know how to do it. They were doing it, I wouldn't say illegally, but they were just posting their things on Airbnb. They were bypassing the condo laws. They were bypassing the applications and created a whole thing. So, but for the Airbnb user, what were the negative things? Number one, you would Airbnb an apartment, let's say in Brickell, and then when you get to the building, how do they let you in the building, right? How do you get the keys to the apartment? Do they know you're coming? Right? It was a little bit scary. You were coming in, and then they would have like a lockbox someplace that you might be, or maybe it was somebody was going to meet you at the lobby. Uh, so there were a couple of things that were uh, kind of a little complicated, right? So now what we're seeing is all this new product that's coming out that is Airbnb ready. It's part of HOH. So now a lot of these buildings are going to have two front desks or two desks, let's say, one for residents, right? For people that, for the people that own the units. And when you do an Airbnb, they're going to be greeted at a different desk, a different front desk. So anybody does an Airbnb in an Airbnb authorized building with the city code, and you go through the right process, right, of getting your unit registered and everything to make an Airbnb. So at the end of the day, remember, this is the business. You are creating a business, right? So now they'll be greeted, party, a lot of them, including the HOA. So they'll go and they'll actually be a front desk, and people will say, "Hey, you could say, I'm here for the apartment, so and so," and you'll be greeted, and you be right there are a lot of the key patents are are happening right now. So that the thing, right, became, I think it's being solved, and so these buildings are now more Airbnb friendly, and they have created the right conditions for the Airbnb experience to be great. The other thing is very, very important is when you are doing Airbnb, you're really getting into the hospitality business, right? Because you're competing with the hotels, etc. So now what we see in these Airbnb buildings, right, will have top amenities. You're gonna find pool area, got a gyms, working spaces, a lot of those amenities, gear for for hospitality. And I don't know if all of them, but some, most of them will have some kind of service, like pool service. Like if you go to the pool, you might have a towel service. They will all, I mean, they'll probably all have, I wouldn't say room service, but some might have a restaurant downstairs. But nowadays, well, with Uber Eats, etc., you practically get food delivered too. So it's kind of like having some kind of room service already at your fingertips, right? So that's another thing. And then the other worry that this mode goes pretty much on the side of the association of the building or the people that actually live in the building or from the owners was the biggest concern regarding somebody comes from an Airbnb or a daily rental or stay. Uh, so they would accumulate, accumulate. I would say there will be more people for like say two for a studio that's for two people. They'll put four people in, and they'll have a party, and they'll be noisy, and then that would accommodate different things, right? So we also advance in a great uh, way of doing this stuff. Now you're going to be greeted, and which the city allows, and depending how you register your unit, the city will assign how many people um, are allowed to be in that unit, right? So let's say a one bedroom unit will have could four because you have one bedroom, you have a sofa bed on the other side, right? So the city will assign, and the people at the front desk of the building will also protect your investment by only allowing the people that are supposed to be allowed to. So they have more control of how many people go in the unit, etc. Right? Also, uh, they have some new devices for Airbnb that you put them in the room and it detects voices, right? And as soon as it detects that there's multiple voices or more voices than they're supposed to be there, or people are supposed to be there, you will get an alert and can move forward from there, right? So the question then, could you Airbnb? Yes, Airbnb is here to stay when you buy pre-construction. So it's basically you have to be. I talk about this in the book, the Blueprint Pre-Construction. Make sure that you understand the building that you're getting into. So if it's a residential building, residential buildings are not going to want you to do Airbnb or daily rentals. Remember, residential buildings, that's where people want to live, raise their families, right? They don't want to have, the things, because Airbnb has a good thing for investors. It's more profitable, but it also has more traffic, more people going in. The vetting is a little bit different, and you don't create community. So in residential building, their aim is to create comfort, safety, and community, right, for the residents of that building. So they have a whole different focus about it, right? So it's structured differently. If it's an Airbnb building ready for Airbnb, it's going to be more geared to investors or second home. So the units will be smaller because remember your HOA will be based upon your square feet. So I'm seeing smaller units, but with bigger balconies. You don't pay HOA for the balcony, so you kind of make up for the space there, better amenities, etc. So to answer your question, yes, you could Airbnb a pre-construction unit when you buy the right unit. The right building. You want to buy into a building that that now, if you buy an already existing building, first of all, I would not advise you to buy anything over 30 years old or 25 years old because you see all the problems. And I talk about that in the book. You got to focus on, as an investment, and the numbers are there. a lot of problems, a lot of situations. Remember when we do pre-construction, we cannot forecast because we're looking future. That wouldn't be right, right? But we could take smart ideas and and make our numbers and calculate. That's where we make investments and move forward. But yes, the question is yes, if you do Airbnb through the right process. And by now, if you buy to residential building, don't expect that you're going to be able to get the Airbnb, right? If you buy into a condo hotel, that's a different story. Condo hotels are they're going to want you to rent the units through their services, right? So you're going to have to put the unit on the hotel part of it, and so it's a little bit different than Airbnb. uh the hotels, this hospitality, like the four seat, when you buy into this hospitality like condo hotels, usually the management fees are higher. Obviously that like it's higher to run a hotel, all the staff, etc., right? So your maintenance fees are, it'll be a little bit different structure, right? The good part is like if you're the type of person that you want to get when you come to Miami and you want to stay in like your own hotel room or like your suite, you're gonna get all the benefits of full blown benefits of being in a hotel, room service, spa, etc. Right. So there's some parts to that. So guys, today's morning. Thank you for the morning walk. Right. Appreciate your, if you haven't done so, please subscribe uh to the channel. Uh we were growing. I put up a really good video yesterday. So, and definitely would like to hear comments on what you think we should be moving forward. And looking forward for a good week. I'm excited. Thursday, right? I'm gonna have my first book signing. So that's exciting. So, having said that, have a great day.